everybody, and welcome to Convention and Cosplay 101 by LawMalicious25. I'm LawMalicious, and I will guide you through your journey to the nerd's biggest fantasy. Now, I'm a fairly new cosplayer and convention goer myself, but through my experience, I've learned quite a bit that I think people should know and keep in mind for their first convention, because if I wouldn't have known some of this stuff and now I went with my friend who's been to tons of conventions throughout the years, and she taught me a lot of things before I went to my first, and I think that I should pass down all this knowledge to help everyone else out, because there's so many things you need to know that help you have a good time. Now, this is probably going to be the most boring episode just because we have to talk about the boring stuff, like financial responsibilities. Now, the first thing we need to keep in mind with your finances is we need to make sure that you have admission. Admission really does vary by the con. They release it pretty early how much it's going to be, and also the earlier you sign up, the cheaper your prices are. So make sure to sign up right away. You also want to get a hotel reservation fairly early on. Now, the hotel doesn't need to be too fancy. We had an absolutely gorgeous hotel when we went to Anime Milwaukee, and it happened to be about a block or so away from the con itself, because the con's hosting hotel was actually booked by the time we got to book. It actually turned out really well, and I definitely recommend to be no more than a couple blocks away, especially if it's in a town or a city you're not familiar with. I would not recommend you to go overly fancy with the hotel, just because you're probably going to be spending most of your time at the convention, and when you are at the hotel, you're probably just going to be sleeping or on your computer or what have you. I would recommend a hotel with complimentary Wi-Fi, which is probably pretty standard nowadays, and I really don't think you need that much else. Now, you're also going to need to plan food for the weekend. I wouldn't recommend eating at restaurants every day because that's going to get very pricey very fast. Depending on if you have a microwave or a mini fridge in your hotel room, I would pack according to that. If you have a microwave, I would definitely just recommend having a lot of ramen. It's cheap, it's quick, it works, and if you're going to an anime convention, it's quite appropriate. Other things I would recommend if you have a mini fridge would just be a loaf of bread and lunch meat or something like that. We literally just used Subway coupons, and we just had Subway all weekend, and needless to say, we were sick of subs, but it worked. Now, depending on how many people you have coming, your trip could get cheaper and cheaper, because you can split the hotel costs and gas costs or any other like food right down evenly, so it's going to get cheaper and cheaper the more people you bring with you. Now, gas and airline tickets are another thing to keep in mind. You're going to need money for gas, obviously, and also, depending on how far away your convention is, you might need to invest in airplane tickets. So make sure to book those things or get those things ready right away. I would start saving up for the convention as soon as you know that you're going. You're also going to want money for what I call goodies, and goodies are the little things you can buy at the vendor's hall, because to most conventions will probably have some room where the artists will be selling their work. You can buy plushies. I think the Anime Milwaukee Convention Hall for the vendors had knickknacks, figurines, plushies, manga, DVDs, Japanese candy. I mean, you name it. You're going to want a lot of money for that stuff because, let's face it, that's the stuff we all want to buy. You're going to want to bring at least $100 with you for that. Now, throwing all these numbers out there, I would be ready to prepare some kind of chart on a piece of paper or an Excel spreadsheet, and I would start planning out what's your budget, what's your goal for how much you want to spend, how much can you spend, how much are you actually spending, things like that. Find out what works out for you to keep you organized financially. This isn't even keeping in mind the cost for cosplay. Cosplay is really fun. I definitely recommend people to try it out. And it does get pricey depending on what you want to cosplay, but I'm going to cover more of cosplay in the next episode. But that is just another expense that you may need to keep in mind if you're interested in doing this. I really hope that this first episode helped everybody out and just kind of planning and keeping in mind what you need to save up for and how to plan expenses. Till next time.